So visual novels, for better or worse, are a very niche medium, and unless you follow the visual novel community closely, it might not be immediately apparent where you could buy official releases of visual novels in English. In this video, I want to showcase all the major places where you can actually buy these official releases of visual novels in English. The first place I want to talk about is by far the most popular online PC digital storefront, Steam. Steam does have quite a bit of perks like PayPal purchasing, regional pricing, basically where prices can differ depending on what country you live in, easy refunds, card trading, and just general convenience if you buy lots of PC games on there. Occasionally, Steam does have notorious issues preventing 18+ visual novel releases, especially if they're obviously set in high school. That said, it's generally accepted Steam is where visual novels are likely to sell most, and it can be a big blow to sales and word of mouth if they don't get released on there. Steam is generally a good first place to check for visual novels due to the high amount of them that get released on that platform. The next place I want to talk about is Manga Gamer. Manga Gamer is one of the oldest sites to host official purchasing of visual novels, as you can tell by its rather outdated website layout. That said, Manga Gamer does have some notable perks, like having fully uncensored, unpixelated H scenes for just about all their 18+ releases, and being one of the few companies to consistently have physical copies for PC visual novels up for grabs. They also host releases of visual novels by other companies like Nikonyan and Sakura Sumero. Some notable releases on Manga Gamer's site include the Rant series, the When They Cry series, and various Nukige. Next, I'll talk about Jast USA. Jast is also an older visual novel localizer similar to Manga Gamer, though they have actually updated their UI to be a bit more modern recently. Similar to Manga Gamer, just about all their 18+ releases have 100% uncensored, unpixelated H scenes. Another notable thing about Jast USA is that they're the only non-Steam platform to have 18+ content, have PayPal as a payment option, and actually have regional pricing similar to Steam. Like Manga Gamer, they'll also host visual novels of other companies. Some notable releases through Jast are the original Majikoi, various Nukige, and a good amount of the Nitro Plus library, including the recently released, very popular Full Metal Demon Muramasa. Next, I'll talk about Sekai Project and Dempasoft. The Sekai Project store itself only has all ages releases of visual novels, so their catalog is a bit more limited, but you can actually use PayPal to purchase these visual novels. There's also an option to buy merch like tapestries, music, and art books, though they have limited stock. Dempasoft is where you would go for their 18+ releases, but you can't use PayPal on that site. Sekai Project and Dempasoft get some big series, but you should expect mosaics in their H scenes for almost all their 18+ releases. Notable releases from them include G-senjou no Mao, Clannad, the Grisaya series, and the 9-9 series. Next, I'll talk about Soul Press and Penny Press. Soul Press sells visual novels, but mostly focuses on manga and light novels these days. They're the one company to add honorific toggles if you want the option to have honorifics in your visual novel dialogue or not. Similar to Sekai Project, Soul Press's site only has all ages versions of visual novels, but they also have merch for sale. Penny Press is Soul Press's way of having 18+ releases, as well as hosting 18+ patches for the releases on Steam and the Soul Press site. Notable releases by Soul Press are Newton and the Apple Tree, Under One Wing, and Oni Kiss. Nikonyan used to sell visual novels they licensed on their site uncensored, but as of this video, due to issues with their previous payment processor, they cannot sell 18+ visual novels themselves on their store. However, they still host 18+ patches of their visual novels that are on Steam, as well as other notable digital merch like drama CDs and soundtracks. To get the visual novels they localize, you'll mostly have to buy them through places like Steam, Manga Gamer, Jast USA, or Dempasoft. Notable releases by them include Aokana, Making Lovers, and just about every modern Ubisoft visual novel. Joren is a site that was made specifically for Shirobune licensed English releases of visual novels, especially ones that couldn't make it to Steam. Some people criticize Joren's usage of DRM, where you have to use a one-time code after buying and downloading the game to supposedly prevent piracy. Some people also have difficulty buying visual novels directly or with Joren points with their credit card, to the point where it can be easier to get Joren points from a site called Offgamers, where you can actually use PayPal. I also believe all their 18+ releases have mosaics. That said, this store is still the only place you can officially support a handful of Shirobune titles, such as Meteor World Actor, Primal Hearts, and Suzukuri Dungeon: Cotton in the Mountain. GOG is essentially a very niche version of Steam for visual novels, as their catalog for them is much smaller. However, some people love how they don't use DRM at all, so if you don't like Steam's DRM, there are a handful of popular all-ages visual novel releases you could get through GOG. For example, you could get Baldur's Sky and the Fault Milestone series. Faku and Nutaku are popular hentai sites that have hosted 18+ releases of visual novels on occasion, but they're almost never the ones to actually publish and translate them. If you really like their sites and want to support them more, I suppose you can try and find and buy visual novel releases on them. I've mostly talked about where to find official English translations of Japanese original visual novels. However, I don't want to leave out English original visual novels, and itch.io seems to be by far the most popular place to support them outside of Steam. Unlike most Japanese original visual novels, many English original visual novels found through itch actually have Mac OS X and Linux support in addition to PC. The prices of visual novels on itch don't go higher than $15 generally, and a good amount of them are actually 100% free. PC is generally the most popular platform to buy visual novels, but we can't forget consoles, especially Nintendo and Sony ones, since they're where the vast majority of console releases of visual novels get onto. In fact, if you're an otomege fan in particular, a handful of the genre can only be gotten on places like Switch or Vita, such as Code Realize and Caller Malice. Otherwise, in order to figure out if a visual novel is on the Nintendo eShop or PlayStation Network, you'll just have to browse their stores since their visual novel catalog is still relatively limited compared to PC stores. I'll give a brief mention to the Apple and Google Play stores for people interested in reading visual novels on their smartphones. Unfortunately, my knowledge of visual novels on these stores is very limited. That said, one of the most popular otomege, Mystic Messenger, is exclusive to iOS and Android and might be the closest thing to a mainstream visual novel made for females that I've seen. I know some people who got into If My Heart Had Wings through the phone version, and the Catboy version of Nekopara just recently released on smartphones, in addition to Steam. So there's clearly a market for visual novels on smartphones. As of this video, the amount is extremely limited, but on the Monk Gamer and Soul Press discords, there are a few visual novels you can buy through their Discord stores. Just keep in mind these are all ages versions of the visual novels. There's an option to pay with PayPal, gift a visual novel as a gift for another user, and for Under One Wing in particular, a cloud save option. And that's all I have for this video. If all else fails and you don't know where to buy a release, always make sure to refer to VNDB. I didn't talk about fan translations and where you would get the original Japanese visual novels for them, as I plan on doing that in a separate video. If there is any major store I missed, or if you have any other feedback, feel free to leave a comment below.